I could just take a moment. I had a speech just recently, and you know, if you're a teacher, an educator, and a coach, you like people to pay attention. Well, there were two people right in front of me. What's your first name?
Laura.
Laura. And the one behind Laura fell asleep. So it's, you know, it's really difficult. Sitting right in front of you, and I thought, well, look, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. So anyway, about 5 or 10 minutes went by, and I knew I had to say something. And I said, Laura, would you please wake her up? And she said, why should I? You put him to sleep. So I'm not going to fall in love with the sound of my voice. But Joe and Debbie, thanks for inviting us. And you know, when Joe spoke earlier, it kind of reminded me of a lot of things a lot of people on this dais and in this room have done. I know I have been involved in it a great deal. And that is, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And encouragement is the oxygen of the soul. And I think that's so great, and to be a part of that. And Dave Robertson, I want to congratulate you. I was so thrilled that they finally found out that he was at with Joe Paterno and Rip Engel and Vince Lombardi, and I'm not saying it because they're all Italian. I'm saying it because I'm Italian. but a great player and a great human being, and I've enjoyed you all these years that we've been down at the Browns Backers in Akron, and it's just passed you by. And I don't want to be. I'm just so happy that you're here and you're alive, and they're not going to do it 50 years from now when maybe you're going to be going. Because David, I want you to know, I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future. I read the last page. We won. So congratulations, David. You know, I say this, but so many in this room have lived this. You know, the days of Paul Brown, the days of Glenn Collier, you know, Otto Graham. You know, this is our 18th quarterback in the last 15 years. Otto Graham played every year, and he won a championship. So, you know, there's 100,000 Browns backers. There's a guy from Beechwood, Ohio, who calls me 3 or 4 times a year, but he lives in Guam, and he wants to know about the Browns. Well, I know, I've been in the business a long time. My wife Barbara's here. Stand up, Barbara. We moved 19 times. My kids went to 23 different schools, and she bought 13 houses. We've been married 59 years. Divorce was never an option. Murder, but not divorce. You know, I'd like to kind of talk just a little bit about the Browns, and that's the word hope. You know, you got to have hope, and I know you've heard that long enough. But if you don't have hope, it's like running a race without a finish line. Now, I played in 1951 at the University of Tennessee when we won the national championship. I was a freshman, and Jim Haslam Sr. was a tackle on a single wing team. And they have brought the program where it is right now, and a guy that spends $1 billion is not going to ride shotgun. And what they have needed from the very beginning, when we came back, and after we had a lapse of 3 years, was inconsistency. You know, Hank Stram said it best. that triangle of AAA. You accumulate talent, you assess that talent, then you perform an autopsy on it for them to come and give you their A game every single week. And as you look at that, in the last 15 years, of that triangle, of those three areas that you have to have, because you know, you never saw a jockey carry a horse across the finish line. You got players. Well, we have not had any of those regimes in place for more than 3 years in the entire 15 years. And I hate to say it to the Pittsburgh fans, but Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, who we signed as a free agent, 39 years. The only two coaches there, 6 Super Bowls. And there's Mr. Rooney, who I love, and there's Dan Rooney, and there's Dan Rooney's son. Nothing's changed. Consistency confirms authenticity, and so that's the answer to it all. And Blessed is the man who has nothing more to say and abstains to the fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Great job. I wanted to make mention of a couple things. We're going to close out the silent auction at 9 o'clock. And also, Don Cockcroft and Dave, you have books also available tonight?
In the car.
Well, it's not a very good place for them, but we can get those for you. Anyhow, we're going to work that out, but if you want any of Don's books, we'll have this set up here, and before it's over, we'll have Dave set up probably on that side before the evening's out. But please welcome Don Cockcroft for the Kardiac Kids.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be with you folks, and Dave, again, I think we will all say congratulations, and it's got to be very special. So you're a great ball player and deserve it. We're glad you're there. When Joe mentioned something about choices, and that was the preparation for our talks when we were sitting here. It's like, okay, what choices have I made? But that's interesting. We all make choices, and actually, I thought about that and thought of my own life and my own career, and certainly the choices that I made as a young person eventually got me to the NFL. And about 4 weeks ago, I was really honored to go be voted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame. I went to high school in Colorado and college, and so here 45 years later, so that was a tremendous, that's as close as I'm going to get. My wife thinks I belong in the Hall of Fame. People say, are you in the Hall of Fame? I said, I live 5 minutes from the Hall of Fame. That's as close as I'm going to get. But anyway, what a tremendous honor it was for me to go back to Colorado a few months ago. My family's there, and to be inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame. And what made it kind of special for me, really special for me, was the fact that the choices that I made. One, didn't make this choice. I went to a small high school, Fountain Fort Carson High School, and I was a pretty good athlete, football, basketball, track, and basketball was my best sport, my favorite sport. But I was a quarterback and linebacker, and my senior year, I was voted the outstanding athlete of the year for the high school. Sounds pretty impressive until you realize there's only 48 in our senior class, and 35 of those were girls, so there wasn't. But I worked very hard at my sports. I love sports, and I really, really worked hard at it. I was so good that I got no scholarship offers. I wanted to go to Colorado State University. I love forestry, and but I had to meet a certain criteria, and I got no scholarship. One school came to me and said, "Son, if you come over here and make our football team, we will give you a scholarship." That was Adams State College, Alamosa, Colorado, 1,400 students. I said, okay, I want to try to play football. I want to be a coach, and so I went to Adams State. And one of the great things that about the 1980 Kardiac kids, my books, the 1980 Kardiac kids are untold stories. If you're a Browns fan, you certainly know what we're talking about. Sam and Greg will testify. One thing that made that team very special was one, nobody cared who scored the touchdown, as long as we scored the touchdown. It was, Ozzie Newsome said it was probably the most unselfish team that he'd ever been on. And the other thing that was so cool, and that's why we were the Kardiac kids, because we never quit, we never gave up. Well, I went to Adams State College to play quarterback. And I got over there, and I thought I was a pretty good quarterback. I wasn't that bad, but there was a junior and a senior, and excuse me, ladies, and I couldn't hold their jock straps, you know? And after about 2 weeks of 2 practices a day and 4 meetings a day, and knowing that, man, I'm not even going to make this football team, I remember calling my mom, who's now in heaven, but I called Mom and I said, Mom, I'm not going to make the team. Can I come home? And she didn't stutter. She said no. So there was 5 boys in our family, 2 older, 2 younger. And 2 had already gone to college, and I don't think she wanted the 3rd one coming back home. But no, seriously, Mom said, Don, and this is really my story in life. She said, son, whatever you do, don't quit. Whatever you do, don't give up. But Mom, I'm not gonna, son, don't quit. And I realized, man, there's nobody kicking the football around here. I kicked all the way through college, or high school, and I guess the rest is history. Because I made the Adams State team as a freshman, as a kicker and a punter, and my senior year I led the nation with a 48-yard punting average, and the pros were too stupid to know I was kicking in Alamosa, Colorado at 8,000 feet elevation. So they drafted me anyway. But then I was actually, back then, I was pretty high, a 3rd round draft choice by the Browns, and I'm proud to say I spent 13 years, and that's the only team I played for in the NFL, is the Cleveland Browns. I say all that for a couple reasons. Yeah, choices we make are very important. I didn't even touch on all the choices you make to get to where you're at. But I know I'm glad I chose Adams State College. And I was glad the Browns called me, though it was so funny when I got drafted. It wasn't what it is today. I mean, I sat by the phone for about 4 hours one day, and they said they were going to draft me fairly high, and sure enough, they called. And I remember asking my wife, I said, get an atlas, where is Cleveland, Ohio? And I remember seeing little Alamosa, Colorado, and Cleveland way up here. I said, man, that's a long ways from home. But choices are important, and the 1980 Kardiac kids, I think what made that team so very special was one, we just never quit. We never gave up. We never gave up, and we ended up having one of the most exciting seasons, I think, in NFL history. I could share so much more, but there's other guys I want to talk, and I just thank you. God bless you. Joe, God bless you, and may God bless you in your efforts. Where's Deb? Deb Oberlin. Deb, thank you, my dear. Deb and I have worked for 4, 5, 6 years now with Toys for Tots and done different things. So God bless both of you, and it's great to be with you.
I was going to mention a couple things too. Some of the things that we do is, about making good choices. We go to some of the schools and we talk to the kids about making good choices. We have a little program that at 4:20, that's a time of day where at one time they thought it was Hitler's birthday or National Pot Smoking Day or just some of that. But really it's a time of day where a number of children are unsupervised because it takes 2 incomes to make the household work, and there's just not enough babysitting to go around. And those choices that are made in that period of time, research has shown that the pedophiles and pornography, drugs, alcohol, teen pregnancies, gangs, it's all related, and a lot of it starts in that period. So those are some of the things that we talk about when we go out to the schools. But, and that was part of some of the things that the guys encouraged the kids along the way too. But moving the program forward, we have one of the quickest running backs that ever played the game coming up here. Greg Pruitt played for the Browns, and a lot of you know him and remember him and watched him, and he's such an exciting guy to watch. Just always were in the game with when Greg had the ball. But please welcome Greg Pruitt. All right.
Thank you. I guess echoing what the two gentlemen had to say is, really when you think about it, it's a small world. And we all had the same things to overcome. You know, from the beginning when I got interested in football, you can't tell it now, but size was always something I had to overcome. I was always considered too small to play. And my grandfather used to always say, a trick untried is never